Welcome to Reminiscing with History Makers. I'm joined today by Maureen. Maureen, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
So for starters, when did you join APCO?
I started in 2019, and that's when I was a captain at the Brookfield Police Department in Connecticut.
During your tenure at APCO, describe what agencies you worked for, the positions you held, responsibilities, and your length of service.
I started when I was 18 years old as a constable, the Woodbury Police Department, or constabulary, in Woodbury, Connecticut, fresh out of high school. And from there, while still in Woodbury, I became a dispatcher at the Brookfield Police Department. So I did both jobs simultaneously until one night the Chief Anderson came up, tapped me on the shoulder and said, "How'd you like to work for me?" By then I was 21, and at the time I couldn't even buy my own gun. My mom had to buy my gun for me. So you want to talk history? And after that night, I became a patrol officer for the town of Brookfield, and I stayed there for 30 years. I rose through the ranks. I was a youth officer, first a patrolman, then the youth officer, a corporal, and then I became a captain in charge of communications, computers, and the records division and training. And then I retired after 30 years, and from there, 4 months after my retirement date, I took my dream job, which was the Director of Emergency Communications for the Newtown ECC in Newtown, Connecticut, which is my hometown.
Wow. So tell us what drew you to join APCO, or was there a particular person that was influential in getting you to join?
I don't know if it was a person, but I knew about APCO. Obviously, with telecommunications, you want to learn everything you can, and if you're running a 911 center, you go to the industry that is the one who's there for you. And so I knew about APCO, and I said, well, I think I better join this group so I can figure out how I can oversee the dispatch center. Even though I had been a dispatcher for a period of time, you still need technical skills and what have you. So I signed up as a member, and I went to my very first conference in Greensville, I believe it's South Carolina, but it was Greensville. It was the last regional conference, and I went with the chief secretary. And from there, I met so many wonderful people, and the Atlantic chapter wrapped their arms around me. And it's like, wow, okay, these are cool, pretty cool. So they were telling me that this is what you need to do, and take some of these classes, and get your RPL, and get your EMD, and all the acronyms that you hear. And I said, okay, so I just started taking classes and learning a lot of things, and I brought it back to not only the dispatchers in Brookfield, but then once I came into Newtown for both centers, I made sure all our staff was APCO members, and that they started getting involved in APCO activities like committees or surveys and stuff, just so that they could understand why they're here and what is available to them for the future.
Can you describe your APCO activities at the state chapter and national level during your tenure?
In the state chapter, the Atlantic chapter, we're unique, only because, well, all our chapters are unique, but there's 8 states within our chapter. So after an event that happened in Newtown, we call it 1214, I was doing what's called lessons learned, and I was up at the Red Jacket, and I gave my presentation, and I remember walking out of the building into the parking lot, and a group of people surrounded me. So they stood between the hotel and my car. And I'm thinking, I've done something that they didn't like. I don't know what's going on here. And they said, you know what? We like you. And we think you have something to offer the Atlantic chapter. And they started mentoring me for the board positions. And I ended up on the board and eventually became the chapter president for Atlantic. And from there, it was it's like the stars opened up in the skies, because you get involved in committee work. The chapter work in and of itself was phenomenal, with things that we do with our own committees and the people that we meet and the conferences that we have. And from there, it just skyrocketed. I just joined every committee that I could and learned as much as I could. But the biggest thing that they did for me was that mentoring, where I could listen to people who have been there, done that, and learn from them. So that was the biggest stuff that we were doing, and I loved every minute of it.
Could you pick a favorite activity from all that time?
I think my favorite is the committee work, because, you know, when you're on a committee, people want to hear what you have to say. And to see things that you have said and talked about suddenly being in the magazine or on PS Connect, and you're writing in forums, and you just see your work product suddenly make a difference for, right now, 36,000 people. It's absolutely amazing, and you don't do it because you get your name put somewhere. You do it for the love of the chapter or the love of the association.
Would you say your APCO membership has had a direct effect on your career in public safety communications?
It definitely has. It definitely has, because I've learned to, how do you even say it? I've learned not to be afraid to voice my opinion, to say that what my job does matters, and it's not about me, it's about the we. And that term came from a mentor who probably doesn't even know he's a mentor, Brent Lee, a past president, when he stood after he ascended to the presidency, and he said, it's for the we of the association. And that has stayed with me to this day. It was at a conference. So you come to the conferences to get re-energized and recharged. And I think that because of the work that I've been able to do and the people I've met has allowed me to bring others into the association and to get a lot of stuff done.
What do you like most about APCO?
I like the people. I really like the people and the networking and the just the fun that we have together. We had s'mores last night for dinner, and you don't see that. How you try doing that in Newtown, you'd be in trouble. But s'mores for dinner with a group of people from ages of the late 20s to almost 80 years old, just having fun and talking and throwing out ideas about certain things. It just, that type of involvement you don't see in a lot of organizations. And APCO, we do it right. We really do, and you'll see that tonight at our block party.
What do you think APCO does better than anyone else?
Ew, that's a tough one. For me, I think it's the fact that every one of us has an opportunity to, as we say upstairs in the command center for our volunteers, to be a rising star. That you have the opportunity through committee work, through chapter work, through throwing your hat in a ring and running for the board, to become a rising star and to make a difference in this crazy world that we work in. And that's really important, and I think that's what APCO does best.
So now with the advent of NG 911, what do you think APCO needs to do to stay current with emerging technologies?
Just keep doing what they're doing. We have people like Mark Cannon, Mark Reddish, Jeff Cohen, Derek Porch, the executive committee. They're doing what they need to do because they never have forgotten, and they have said it over and over again. We are a member-driven organization. So they are listening to us, and they're giving us the tools that we need to do the job that we have to get done. And for that, we should all be grateful and also give them the support that they need. So when they ask for help, we need to answer that call. So as long as they keep doing what they're doing, we're going to be in good stead.
What to you stands out as a significant contribution during your time in office?
What I do for the love of the association, and I do for the love of my chapter and for the people that are out there. So I don't think I have one significant contribution. I think, if anything, maybe I'm playing it forward and giving back for everything that was given to me. Most people know what I talk about with 1214, and I had the communication family embrace my center and myself, and for that I will forever be grateful. So I am giving back. So what I give, if one person benefits from something, then I've done something good. So that's all.
Oh, that's great. Well, once again, this has been Reminiscing with History Makers. Maureen, thanks for chatting with us today.
You're very welcome. Thank you.